I'm
Hit
good.
it. You got it?
3, 2, 1, go.
Go. All right. Be interesting. Well, hey,
I
Tom,
love it.
I just want to say straight away that I'm very honored that you would come hang out with me. And I'm just very excited because we have been, we've been friends from afar. We've seen videos of each other. You sent me a nice video for my birthday
Yeah,
last year, but we never had a conversation besides texting
yeah,
and on Facebook. So this is really, really cool.
yeah. No, it's thank you for having me, and I feel the same. Vice versa. I do consider us friends, even though we haven't met in the real material, the real world. But you take what you can get. But I know we've had some heart to hearts. And it was funny because I think I texted you the other day and I said, "Yo, this is my number." And next thing you know, you were texting and you were like, "Wait, is this really Tom?" Yeah. So no, I got news for you. I mean, please don't share that number, but it was definitely me.
Oh, well, what's weird is when you called me today, I don't know why your name didn't come up because I did save it. I was like,
Right.
because I do get with my job, I do get calls from Georgia where they're complaining about something, and I was like, oh, I'm not dealing with this right now.
Right. Well, as I was saying, backstage in the virtual green room,
Yeah.
um, I don't, well, actually, I guess I do a good bit of interviews, but I do like a bunch and then I don't do any for a while and I try to pick and choose. And I really only do them with people that I'm fond of. So I'm very fond of you. But I also still to this day get nervous. I still get nervous being on stage, And so if I'm going to do whatever I'm going to do, like my dad used to say, don't ever do anything half-assed. It takes
Yeah.
twice as long to fix it. And so if I'm going to do it, I want to do it right. So I was calling you to say hi and kind of break the ice and then just kind of like talk about the interview. But you guys need to know out there, we never got a chance to talk. So this is what you get, just el natural.
You get what you get and you don't get upset.
Yeah, Trey. No, listen, it's wonderful, man. It's good to see you. It's good to see you, man. Hope you're well.
Yeah, well, you didn't mention what I texted you that first time, which was the legend Tom Cheshire, and I know that I hope that doesn't embarrass you because it's a very high compliment. But actually, I mean it in the truest sense of the word from what I have seen from afar, and why I wanted to talk to you is kind of break down some of these things that I admire.
Okay, thank you very
And
much. Very too kind, but appreciate it.
so let me get into it. Some of these things, and you hear it when I talk to Amanda too. But just feel like a fearlessness from you, in
Mm,
the sense of just going for it, and whether it be the poetry, the music, the job choices. But I think at the end of the day, it is, how they say you can make art or your life can be a work of art. I think you're
right.
from what I see, you are both of those things.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'll probably turn red and blush. That's so kind, and my ears were shaking. I love the interview you did with Amanda, and I've become good friends with Amanda. She's just an awesome human, and we've gotten a chance to hang out a couple times, and it's been really great. And I loved everything you said, and thank you for saying those things. But I will say this: I will never not have fear. I still get fear. I still, when I perform on stage, the first 4 songs, my eyes are closed, and I'm like a nervous wreck. Like I played a show in New York City, that's where I'm from, and my brother was there, and he was like, I've been watching you on stage 25 years now, and like your eyes still closed. And I'm like, yeah, I'm a nervous wreck. But then the third or fourth song, I feel good and I know I got it and I got the audience and they're in the palm of the hand. And then the eyes open wide and it looks like I just drank a big Red Bull. But also, and I'm a big fan of in life, and I think it's healthy for everyone should try to do this, is I'm a fan of and a believer of we should all test ourselves and throw ourselves into uncharted, like shark waters, And so whether it is writing a book of poetry or someone asking you to do something and you've never done it, like for just a few years ago, people wanted to do podcast interviews, and I was like, man, I can't do that. And now, you do quite a bit of them. So I think also you get better at them, and when you're doing it with people that you like this is so easy. It can only be nothing but awesome. And if something goes wrong, it's live TV. Who cares? Yeah.
Yeah, and I think with me anyway, I don't know if you relate to this, but I think I get more fearful and scared of not trying things that I do just because they might be scary. I'm more scared of not giving it a shot, like this stuff. One of the quotes I quote often and did with Amanda too, and you kind of said the same thing, but that clarity comes through engagement. You have to just jump in and then see what happens to learn. Like you said, you're getting better at doing these things. And then I'm hoping, because I'm not there yet, but I'm hoping that it will help shape the direction of where I want this show or whatever you want to call it.
It's a show, and it's done well. Well, you just touched on some really good points, because Amanda Blackman, again, big fan of hers, and I was in Asheville, North Carolina. Funny enough, I'm going to be there again next week playing a solo show, and through that I met Rick Ammerman. Shout out to Rick, and Rick and I have become friends as well, and we talked about that. He's like, I'm not that good. Like Amanda was like, Tom, everyone has said you guys are going to hit it off because you both got this kind of personality that you're going to talk really well, and we really did instantly meet. I mean, I had cousins, I had family with me at this bar. Next thing you know, we're all hanging out, drinking gin and tonics, dancing to George Michael. It was wonderful, and I wish I was making that up. That stuff really happens, and it's the best. And then I meet Rick, and Rick's so wonderful, but it takes a little bit more, but he kind of engaged me privately, which was beautiful. And shout out to Rick, and he's helped me with some shows of mine that I'm doing. He's like, oh, I'm not as good at that, but I'm working on it. And I'm like, dude, we're all works in progress. You're amazing. You're doing great, and you and I met, I guess now it's been a few years. You reached out, and I love your band, and I love your music, and I love you doing your own versions of some of my songs. I'm a big fan. I love your family. I mean, I believe I've sent birthday messages to people in your family, and it's all easy because I still believe in all that. Like, because I grew up in a punk rock community, and it was like, literally that feeling of like life is like the pit, and if someone goes down, you pick them up, and we're all in this together.
Yeah, oh, big time. There's so many great traits that I see in you and seeing now that and Amanda and I touched on some of them, but yeah, I mean, kindness is a big one, and just you saying that, I really feel like you're out there for other people too. To support them, and
very kind. I still have my really bad days where you can't find me. You can't find me, and then you hear the sound of a boy weeping, and you open a closet door, and it's me, like rolled up like a ball, looking at photo albums, drinking whiskey, and crying, and like I got like my dad's old shoes like going into my side.
Well, maybe that could be a good segue, because I wanted to talk about your poetry, and then some similarities between your poetry and your music. I have a very special thing to say about that that's very meaningful to me, but first I'm just curious. I mean, it takes some balls to release a poetry book. Can you just share a little bit about the origins of that and how all that came about?
Well, I'm a big fan of poetry, and I'm a big fan of emotions, and I'm a big fan of people being honest and emoting themselves, and I'm a big fan of music like you are, and at one point, I think probably in my early 20s, I realized a lot of that stuff goes hand in hand. when I discovered artists like Leonard Cohen, who was a poet but also a wonderful musician. Now, people might say, "Oh, his voice is horrible," but you hear the songs, you hear, the lyrics, and maybe you need to hear someone else cover it, but you get it, and you realize they started off as a man probably sitting down at a kitchen table writing poems, then they became songs, and that led to certainly my love for Nick Cave and artists along that line, Tom Waits as well. And I realized, wait a minute, like unbeknownst to me, I kind of have been doing this already. So I was trying to write my own music, and I was writing my own poems, and I was writing lyrics. And as I was writing the lyrics, I'm hearing, wait a minute, I'm going to do this with, this is going to be, this is going to be GE going into an A minor, and I'm hearing myself play it or play it poorly on the guitar. And I realized, wait a minute, I didn't realize it, but and it's very natural in regular life anyway. It's like the things that influence us, if they're good, why I've said this to Amanda. I go, why are we attracted to each other? Even you and I, like we were attracted to each other. You meet each other. Well, hopefully it's because you have the same things in common, and hopefully certainly you hate the same things, which whether it's homophobia, racism, bullies, whatever. So you already like these things, and you don't realize that they're in you already. So I guess I was writing poems and I was writing songs, and I was like trying to marry them, and then I just gave myself a I guess you said, like in punk rock or in rock and roll and heavy metal, it's like all of our best the favorite bands we have, people record and they say, we want to play a show. They have these small goals. They go, we want to put out a 7-inch. We want to put out a record. And I did all that, and I put out a good amount of records. And I was like, it was the mid-90s, and I was like, I'm going to put out a book of poetry. I'll self-put it out. And my birthday is April 1st, and I called it Full-Time Fool. And by the way, I love that title, but I hate the book, and it's horrible. It's horrible, and it's like the poems are unlike. I mean, my brother is a very, accomplished writer, and he's like, no, I love it. I'm like, it is awful, but the thing is, I did it. It's like what you were talking about it, and then it led to me. Well, I'm going to continue it, and then I've, done several since then, and the last few I've done, I really like. So it's just it's these things. It's we're all works in progress, and then us going into those uncharted waters, us giving us small goals that lead to bigger goals, and then shit. Can I curse in here?
Of course, yeah.
I know you got a kid running around. I mean, but it's trial and error. So if you mess up, you deal with that shit, and you just keep going. And even if you show the imperfections, like I put out several books of my poetry that literally. Are when the publisher asked for it, I sent them like a box of just bar napkins and back of pizza boxes and with handwritten stuff crossed out, and I said, you need to put this together in this order and scan these and put it out like this. They're like, that costs extra. I'm like, figure it out. They're like, what's this stain here? I'm like, that's blood. That I think might be someone's vomit. That's page 8. That poem, cafeteria conversation. I just got a text from an ex-girlfriend, and I was crying. Those are literal tears.
Well, so I just gave you what I'm good at. Now you sort it out and do what you're good at as a publisher.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but because I think about that a lot too, and it's like, and because it's difficult, all of it, So you pick what you want to do. So like I actually, even when it comes to the music that we put out, that I've been so lucky to perform with so many people, some of those people, and it's like, and then when it comes time to the next level of doing it, I'm like, no, my job, I'll be like, my job is to get my heart broken, lose my mind, cry, get wasted, go to sleep and dream. Here's your song.
Well, it's funny. So are you married? Is that your wife? You said.
Oh, well, I have believe it. We'll have to edit this out. No, I have an assistant.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
Because I was
you can leave it at I have a great assistant that I would not be able to accomplish half the things that I try to do if it wasn't for her. So She's just the best, but she's also so cool that she loves to push me and help me get out there, but she doesn't like, pictures or her name in the situation. Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, I got you.
And it's absolutely wonderful. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's cool. The only reason I ask is because there is a lot of heartbreak.
Oh yeah, I know. Well,
so
yeah,
like,
I mean, so a lot of the songs that you, I think, like how we met on, or you contacted me about, those were legitimate, true stories about some heartbreak a long time ago. And luckily enough, most of them are still pretty easy to perform, But no, I'm also very scared in life. I don't know about you or any of your viewers feel about this. I remember talking to Amanda about this. I'm always scared to declare stuff. And maybe that's the insecurity and also being the artist, but it's like this. So it's like you see someone going, oh, I'm so happy. I'm so in love. I'm so this. Well, 6 months later, when that doesn't work out, you're going to also declare that you're not happy. So people think they kind of know me. You're getting to know me a lot better now, and this is wonderful. But it's like, I've had so many people think they actually know me, and I'm like, well, yeah, that's nice, and you do know me from some of the poems of the song, but actually, I really keep everything so separate. I have a very, very private, like separate life, and like even my mom, who I'm having lunch with tomorrow, I'm super excited. She calls me and she worries about like my state, my mental health state and stuff, and she's like, "How you doing? You happy?" And I'm like, "Mom, you know me. I'll never, ever, ever say I'm happy." I go, "I'll tell you this. These days, I'm probably the closest to happy I've ever been in a while."
Yeah.
And closest to happy is pretty good.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Your mom seems very sweet too. Again, just from the pictures you posted.
Yeah. They are good. They're great. They're still together. They're insane. I don't know how they're still together. My mom was an immigrant, came off the boat from South America, Chile. A long time ago, I think when she was 4 years old, and we grew up, me and my two brothers and sister grew up in New York City, and then eventually they made it to Atlanta, and then I stayed in New York and got into a lot of trouble. Tried Atlanta, hated it, went back to New York, got more trouble, and then came to Atlanta again, and that second time around, maybe 93 or 94, I met probably about 10 of my best friends that I still do business with and play music with. Some of them, and it's been a really lucky, wild ride. Like even my dad and I were chatting a while back, and he was, I don't know anyone that's got like 3 or 4 good friends on one hand, 3 or 4 good friends. And he's like, you got 7 or 8, like really, really close friends. And I'm like, well, Pops, I learned from you, man. I learned from the best. When I was like 10, my dad used to say, you just grab me, and he'd be like, simple, it's simple. It's nice to be nice. And we just try to keep that, keep doing that.
Yeah, no, I've been thinking about this lately. My wife goes on all these girl trips with her.
Yeah, she's awesome. Yes, I definitely have sent her a happy birthday.
Yeah, but I've somewhat complained to her. I'm like, you're always going away. I stay home, watch the little one. I want a trip. And it's kind of like, well, get some friends.
I think that happens, when I mean, I don't have any kids, so I'm a great uncle. I love my 2 nieces, my sister's kids, and we have such a good time, and I love being an uncle. But I think, yes, what happens is, unfortunately, because you're doing it right, you're doing life right, so you're taking this responsibility right, and so you're being at home and being, the best mate, to your wife, and the best mate, to your family, and the best dad to your kid, and trust me, it's all going to pay off in the long run, and you're going to have a great life. And when your kid gets a little bit older and you have a little bit more time, your wife's going to say, okay, you've earned it, and you're going to be able to play more music and do more stuff and get out and do more trips.
Yeah, when can I go down to Atlanta, wife, and visit Tom?
Yeah, man, you got to do it.
Hey, that's what, some of these conversations are overlapping from what I had with Amanda, and I did mention that too. I was like, I think, where would I even go? And then I was like, you know what? I would love to go visit Tom in Atlanta. Yeah.
Yeah. I got a little place here. We'll put you up for a few days. I've had a few visitors. I've lived all over the place the past few years, and I'm about to be moving again. I mean, I guess I'm going to announce it on your show. I'm going to announce it on your show. In 2 weeks, I'm moving to Puerto Rico.
Oh wow.
And yeah, I took a television gig. I'm going to be. I have a company and I build TV stations, and that's where I've been traveling so much. Even when I've been in New York for the past 10 years, and I came back to Atlanta during the pandemic, New York was a mess, you know. So, but even then, I mean, and I had a really nice apartment in Brooklyn, and like some months I only slept in my bed like 6 days a month because I was traveling so much, you know. But this gig in Puerto Rico, I'm really excited about. It's going to be awesome. I'm going to build a little studio in my place on the beach. Come visit me there too. But
Oh, man.
I'll still have the place here in Atlanta. I'll probably come back every couple of months, you know,
Oh,
to take care of things I have to do here, my loved ones here and stuff, you know.
that's really exciting. And hey, if you want me to edit anything out, if not ready to make that type of
No, it's funny because I you know, I for the first like, because look at us, we're smooth like butter talking, but I do keep, you know, these certain things prior, and then for a second it looked like I was thrown off guard, but I don't care. We're good. Yeah.
Tell me this, because I relate to this a lot too. Maybe it's not the same trouble. I don't know. We don't have to really go into it, but what do you think? You know, I didn't have a major life change in a positive direction until my 30s. I was kind of
Right.
messed all over the place, and I would say irresponsible. And
Yeah.
and didn't want to really take ownership of the direction I was going, and kind of
Right.
floating in the wind. And then I don't know if it was a physical brain development in the 30s that changed things. I went to the Marine Corps in my 30s, which is kind of unheard of, but that certainly helped turn me around. But I'm curious,
Yeah.
you met all those great friends. Do you think there was a psychological shift that brought that kind of stuff
I
into your life?
do. Yeah, I do. Well, first things first, thank you for your service. And I think about that often. I actually wish sometimes I would have went to the military too. Well, okay, so let's just say I was a very hyperactive boy as a kid. Still am hyperactive old man now, and that got me into a lot of trouble. Certainly, in the adult years, like teens into the 20s, and even now, I mean, I've battled my depressions and then anxiety. And then when you don't have that mentorship or someone saying, yo, what are you doing? You throw that in the mix of, let's say, you know, they say idle times like the devil's best friends, you know, there's so many things. And then also I've had, you know, struggles in the past with, you know, certainly substances and even drinking too much, you know. And so, yeah, I was just like, oh, that person just got out of that new car to return their videotapes, and they left the car running. I'm going to steal that car. You know, and then it's like, yeah, and I wish I could say that only happened once. It's like, yeah, like I'm like, man, like, you know, like I'm gonna go out for this ride, and it's easily gonna take a day for them to find me. So, you know, and then I'll just drop it off somewhere, and I'm like, what, you know? But unfortunately, they do find you. So moving to Atlanta, my dad, a couple of other folks, my friends, Brian Kinchlow, Rob Kinchlow, Marlo Sanchez, Mike Sheena, Brent Hinds. These are people that saw something in me, and they were like, Joe, you're very talented. What are you doing? Like, you need to focus on doing this stuff, you know, and reined me in and gave me great advice, and also looked after me and said, you need to do something with this stuff. And then also, straight up music, you know, music saved me and changed me and rearranged me. And then so, you know, already I'm into music and I love it. But then when I follow someone like Joe Strummer from The Clash, and he talks about, you know, um, punk rock isn't about being an asshole or mean to people. It's about community and unity and being good to people and lifting them up. And then, Leonard Cohen, who's, was a poet and a singer-songwriter, but then he became a Buddhist monk, and you hear the wisdom come out of them. I just said, man, I'm going to try to, leave a little bit of a mark, leave a little bit of a legacy, and try to do some interesting things, travel the world. It has nothing to do with becoming huge or famous, but just to affect people.
Yeah.
And it's been a lovely ride, but also I do believe, I think you said early 30s when you joined the military. It's like, I do believe that 18 to 24, you don't know shit, 24 to 30, you probably don't. And you actually change so much from 16 to 18 and 18, 20, 20, 22. So, like maybe on paper, you could go get a drink and buy a pack of cigarettes. You could buy fags, you could vote, you could do all these things, but you don't know anything and you're not a mature like adult, So I'd like to think that maybe at 29 or 30 years old, I started making halfway decent decisions, and I became, 3/4 of on my way there, becoming a good man.
Yeah. Yeah, for me, I was thinking about this the other day in another way to look at it. For me, that does make sense, though I'm not sure if it's entirely true, but is holding, I think I was holding on as long as I could to be frivolous.
Right.
Maybe a part of me, this is a romanticized way of looking at it, but maybe a part of me was like, I'm going to keep this childlike frivolousness as long as is humanly possible. Turns out that's till you're about 32, but you don't get any breaks after that.
You're absolutely right. I remember my mom making fun of me in my late 20s. She's like, what are you, Peter Pan? I'm like, what's wrong with Peter Pan? But I think you're absolutely right. And something happens. And by the way, one of the gentlemen I mentioned, Marlo Sanchez, who I've been in a few bands with, and he's one of my best friends ever, and we put out maybe 4 or 5 albums together. And we have these deep heart-to-hearts, and like even during the pandemic, when I got down here to Atlanta, and he's married with 2 kids, he's the best. But we would like meet somewhere in a parking lot, and like, because there was still so many unknowns. So the world is supposed to be shut down, and like we're wearing masks, and we're in a parking lot, and we're splitting a 6-pack and just talking. And I'm like, I don't know if I'm allowed to hug you, but I need to hug you, And he's just the best human and best dude. And he would be like, listen, I know me having my kids saved my life. And that's when I moved on the next day, I knew that I had this thing I need to do. And so sometimes we don't know we need until we get it. And that's when you get these things, you're like, all right, I got to take care of this person. Like I do a lot to take care of my folks. And I'm like, man, I can't just not call anybody or just jump in a car and go to Florida for a few days. I got to take care of these things.
Yeah.
Although I would love to be able to never lose my childlike ways and continue doing that for, a minute. I think, I don't know. Listen, the best part about it is having the dialogue and the conversation and trying to figure it out. And the best part of it is that we're never going to figure it out. Like we're all works in progress, like trying to learn and figure out life. And, I used to joke around and saying like, the day I wake up and I go, I figured it out. Everything in life, women, life, everything. I'm going to walk outside and a bus is going to run me over.
That's why you don't say it out loud.
Yeah, we don't need to know. We could just talk about it and say,
Yeah, the other big one, and maybe the most number one reason, I think the direction I was heading was just getting to a point where it's more painful than to shift. And I was really feeling that pain in whatever I was doing, and
right,
it outweighed the pain and discomfort it takes to change.
Right. Yeah. Were you getting into fights, or was it just you were looking for trouble?
No, I mean, I don't know, I think avoiding. I didn't know what I wanted to do. And so,
right.
In a way, I was kind of chasing women, I think.
Well, listen, that could be a lot of fun too, man. Listen, It's so funny because I always use these quotes that my dad had said, but half the time now people meet my dad and they're like, "Oh, I heard you said this." And my dad's like, "I don't remember saying that." And I thought he said something, and then I repeat it, and then you repeat it 20 times, and it's like the town liar. Like it's just it grows. So I always say, my dad used to say, I never want to make the same mistake more than 20 or 25 times. But he's like, I never said that, man. He's like, I told you, don't play with doo-doo and pay your taxes. I do remember him saying that. Either way, it's all good advice,
Yeah, also good advice.
Yeah, very good advice. He also said never trust a man in sandals. Sorry to anyone out there wearing sandals. And then he said don't go to a bar in a mini mall, which I agree, because I've gone to a bar like in a mini mall and got like beat up. It's ridiculous.
That's so great.
It's so weird.
But along the way, and forgive me, I want to give you some compliments. But along the way, must have informed your art. And one of the things I love about your art, whether it be the poetry or the music, is, let's say my favorite thing about what you're putting out there is putting the listener or the reader in the moment and in the vibe. And I connect so much to however it is you're doing it. Now that might be because I just brought to the picture some similar experience, right. But I feel like, like Birmingham, I've been in that situation,
Wow. Yeah.
Like, you meet their family and they were like super cool. And you're like, hey, this is going great. But then she ends up either not liking you or.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of truth to that one. And I love your cover of it, by the way. And if anyone has heard the 7-inch, which was the first, I think the first West End Motel recordings. Well, how West End Motel happened was I was in a band called Rent Boys, which was very much like a punk band, And my favorite band was, I found this band, Feet Without a Face, which I like your shirt you're wearing, your Mastodon shirt, it was this guy Brent Hinds, and I loved them, and they were very much a surf band, and this is in the early 90s. And I just moved from New York, and I was just blown away by them. And it's really funny because Brent thought I was crazy and weird. He didn't want to hang me. I was like, yo, man, I was like, I'll be your roadie, And then I just started roadieing for him, and we would hang out. And he was like, you're a weirdo. And I'm like, now all these years later, I'm like, you are a weirdo, and we're great. We went and saw matinee. We went and saw the new Wes Anderson movie yesterday. We are fantastic, So I was like, I'll help you. I'll roadie for you and this and that, whatever. And then throughout that, you have nights you hang out. His band played with my band, Rent Boys. And you have the very late nights that go to early mornings, and drinks and things are involved. And I'm playing the piano at one point, and he's like, what's that? And I'm like, oh, this is stuff I'm working on. I think I'm going to call it West End Motel, because I was living in an area called West End. And the whole idea of it was tonight he and I could do it. Tomorrow you and I could do it, and it was about having different guests on stage with me in the motel, and it was poetry. It's music. It, to me, in a lot of ways, is math and poetry. So unless you're a band like Mastodon that doesn't do common counts or whatever, But someone like Dylan, what you would say is math and poetry. It's like 1, 2, 3, 4 and poetry, And so I was doing this simple stuff, and he was like, what the hell is this? And I was like, yeah, I got this idea called West End Motel. And we just started jamming, and he loved it. And I think we went and recorded over a weekend, like 31 songs, and some of them were me banging on a piano and screaming poetry. Some of them were him on acoustic guitar and me playing a bucket for drums. And a lot of them probably are unlistenable. I need to revisit them one day. But a few years later, our friend Chad Radford put out a 7-inch of, I think, 4 or 5 of the songs. And on one of the sides, the A side or the B side of the 7-inch, is a song called Oh, I'm on My Way, which is the first line to Birmingham. And it goes, oh, I'm on my way to Birmingham. I like the way this lady touched my hand. I got to meet my baby's family. I got a feeling she'll be good to me. Something like that, And it was wild because I believe that and the song Under My Skin were the 2 first songs that I wrote and brought to him, and he was like, Tom, what is this? And I'm like, well, yes, you know that I listen to bands like The Clash, but I also love artists like Tom Waits and Nick Cave. And he was like, yes, yes, yes. And so here I'm influencing him and I'm playing him Tom Waits records and The Clash, and it's 5 a.m. and we're drinking cough syrup under a bridge, you know, or whatever, you know, and he's playing me like Frank Zappa and Thin Lizzy, and then somehow between the two of us, we're listening to Captain Beefheart, and that was how the original idea of basically West End Motel came about, you know. So it is pretty cool, and it is pretty cool that we did that song, and then on the last record, Bad with Names, Good with Faces, we decided to revisit it and put it out with a full band as a song Birmingham, and I love the way it came out, and I love that you covered
it. Yeah, well, I also want to share, you were so great about that. I mean, you sent me all the lyrics just so I make sure I get it right. You even sent me the chord changes for it just to like you make sure I got it right. I really appreciate it. I think
man,
you did for Tiny Man too.
Yes. Oh man, that's all Brent, and I love that song. And that also is probably, of every band he's in, it's probably one of my favorite. It's just so tasteful, like the solos he does in that song is so good.
Oh gosh. Yeah. And I will return. I love that.
Yeah. To the normal size of man.
Yeah.
When he brought that to me, he asked me to help him, you know, so I helped him write some of the lyrics and stuff. You know, I think I said, you should say, I'm so tiny, put me in your pocket, like that kind of thing, you know. And I was like, were you like hanging out with Josh Homme in the desert on acid? Like, you know, because like, what would make you even write this? You know, he was like, something like that. You know?
Well, and I did want to make a juxtaposition with it's the reasons I love Mastodon, the reasons I love West End Motel, they're so different and still equally powerful. Mastodon, I love it because it's for many reasons, but
yeah, they're so great.
The lyrics are so ethereal, and it brings you to like kind of this fantasy world, like Crack the Sky, Rasputin.
Oh my goodness, yeah.
Traveling in the astral realm, like just really cool. And I like your music for sort of the opposite. It's like
it's just simple everyday thoughts that, because that's the way I feel about this. And by the way, I'm sure Bill and Bron and Troy, I mean, they're friends of mine as well. They would all say the same thing. Like every day, wake up, whether you go do your job as a plumber or you go to school or you're going through some stuff, you go for a run. When you wake up and at the end of the day, you have a million thoughts, and some of them are great and some of them really are like stabbing you and stuff. And why not write them down and then turn them into something? And I mean, that's what they did, you know, with the loss of Nick John, rest in peace. What a great guy. He managed us for a while. I've had dinner with Nick a few times. What a wonderful man he was, their manager. And, you know, and I'm a huge fan of the Mastodon guy, all of them, but I'm also a huge fan of them as just people. They're great friends, and they're just like the nicest humans on the planet. And I love people's success. Like I love seeing, like we just saw them in Asheville, and that's where we met up with Amanda. And I brought a friend of mine, Chuck, who's known them. You know, we were at their first show. We saw their first show in front of 50 people. You know, and Chuck and I just laughing and just smiling. And I go, we're really good friends with a band that has pyro and lasers. Yeah, and I bumped into Bill just the other day, and we were chatting, and he was like, "Yeah, it was so great hanging out with you in Asheville," and we chatting for a minute. And I was like, "You know what I said when you guys started playing?" He goes, "What?" And I go, "We're good friends with a band that has pyro and lasers." He's like, "I know, isn't it crazy?" I was like, "It's the best, man. It's wonderful."
Oh, that's so cool. Yeah, but what you're able to do to take it back to West End Motel and put again, it's like it's because how it's written, and then you have to kind of come to the party a little bit. But it's easy to relate to. And there's something just so cool about that. You know, I do, and I don't know if this is fair or not, but I've mentioned to you before how I think West End Motel should tour with Deer Tick.
I love Deer Tick, great band. Yeah, I've met those guys before. Those guys are my buddy Joseph Plunkett is actually on tour with them right now. They are fantastic. Yeah, you know, so there's only so listen, I'm so proud of everything done with West End Motel, and I've been hanging out with Brent. We've been working on stuff lately, and So we love it, and we're proud of everything we've done. And he's actually just finishing up a solo record that he, for a minute, was going to bring to us, and we were going to do it as a West End record. I'm like, no, this is all you, dude. It's beautiful, and I love it, you know. And I was like, I got about 8 or 9 songs, and I know you probably got just as many for another West End record, you know. A lot of guys, and in order for it to sound the way we like, it requires 7 or 8 guys, you know. And then we've done some touring, and some places we've done well. Like, I mean, you know, when we toured the West Coast in like 2012, I guess it was, you know, the places in California, we had a few hundred people come out, but every other place, you know, you're playing in on a Tuesday night in, you know, somewhere in the middle of Arizona. It's like, you know, a couple of kids come out, and it's not the town's fault, you know, but it's just, it gets, and it's really, I mean, you basically come back after the tour, and each tour, you're 4 or 5 grand in the hole, and you're like, man. So I
Yeah.
think we have an idea of things we're going to do. I know we have another record we're going to do, and we may have to just continue. I mean, we've done this the past few years where we played like a Christmas show in Atlanta every year, and we try to let people know if they want to travel. So it got to the point people would travel, and we play a show in Philadelphia and New Jersey and New York and Boston. So like, it's like, and we have to work it out because the Mastodon dudes are so busy, and that's his career, that's his job. So we know over Christmas and the beginning of the year, everyone is off there with their families. So instead of him taking off, which is very selfless on his part, you know, it's amazing for Brent to do, he'll go on the road and do 6 shows in December and 6 shows in January. And while his friends are hanging out with their families, and he should be off as well, it's because he loves it so much. You know, I think Fiend is about to start doing some stuff, and Fiend's a lot easier because it's a 3-piece. So we're trying to figure that out, you know. So like I mentioned, like I do solo stuff, and I can do it just me and one other guy, and I'll do 4 or 5 West End Motel songs, two songs from every other band I've been in, and then I've also written like 20 songs, new songs the past couple of years, you know. So it's, you know, it's so much fun, but unfortunately it was expensive before the pandemic. Now it's even more expensive.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
You
I
know,
bet.
so you know,
It's
gas isn't cheap, you know, hotels aren't cheap, you know. I think you know, someone said recently, they were like, even for big bands that go out, you know, a band that has a couple of buses and stuff, that they need to go out for 3 or 4 weeks before they break even. So they have to at least go out for 8 weeks so they can come back with money for their families. And I'm like, oh my goodness, that's, you know, that's rough.
Yeah, no, I think about that often, and you know, in my 20s, I was in bands, and that was the dream. And then
Right.
as I got older, I'm like, this is still that's a job still, and that's
Right.
hard. That even if
Yeah.
you're a rock star, even if you're winning Grammys, you
Yeah.
still it's financially tough.
It's
Um,
difficult. Yeah, and I'm 53. I don't want to be sleeping. I don't want to be going to a town and say, "Hey, can we sleep on your floor?" So I need to get a hotel.
yeah,
Yes, a few of us squeeze in the hotel room, but yeah, it's like, you know, and it's, you love it, and you know, and it's your passion, but also, you know, we there's so many other things you need to, you know, consider and take care of, you know.
yeah, yeah. And West End too. You know, I was actually revisiting some of your stuff. That's, you know, I have Apple Music, so I don't know if all your stuff's on Apple Music, but a lot of it
I don't
is.
know. Yeah, I
The
need to check. Yeah.
but the oh gosh, now I'm embarrassed. What's the name? The one with the rainbow coming out of the eyes.
That's only time can tell.
Only
Is
time.
that with like the skeleton?
Yes. So
Yeah,
there
that's
was
that's
that.
the record. That's the record we did for Warner Brothers. Yeah.
Yeah, and it just kind of listening, and I don't think it was all your catalog, but then but trying to listen to the evolution of things, and then
Right.
the next one is you brought the horns in. I don't think you had any horns
Right.
on.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so what happens is, and you know, and the funny thing is that record is probably the record people love the most, and I do love some of those songs that, you know, Brent bringing in like "Witch is Dead" and us writing "Burn It Down" and stuff, and like it was a wild time. I was going through a divorce, and his brother had just passed away, so we were writing that at the same time they were writing "The Hunter," and it's wild because some of it sounds like a party, and then you listen to the words and you're like, this isn't a party at all. this is some sad dudes right here who are just like, you know, drinking vodka, jumping off tables and throwing plates. Yeah, it's like, but I love so many of the songs. Like, Mike Sheena brought the song "Forgiveness" to us, which is such a beautiful dark song. And
Yeah.
but like I hate the recording of it, and there's something that happens, and it really just proves that when you're in the studio with a producer and an engineer, everyone in the room and the room itself is considered an instrument.
Yeah.
And I really would love to revisit some of those songs and do them properly, but I do understand what you're saying, and it's a wild evolution, like you're saying. It's a wild ride. Some of it straight up sounds like, yeah.
And you guys, and you even do Last Caress, right? The Misfits.
Yes, that's right. That's Last Caress. That's well, we've always been fans of Misfits and Danzig as well, but we love dissecting and taking apart the songs and be like, well, why don't we do it with accordion and a saloon piano? Yeah, we got a I think a cease and desist letter from Glenn Danzig with Last Caress, and it came out later on Apple and I think iTunes, but it didn't come out because that might have been done through Vice. But that we did during the Don't Shiver, You're a Winner session. So that was like 2011, and he heard it and he was not into it, and he didn't get it and he didn't like it. I'm like, come on, Glenn. One, get a sense of humor. Two, it's a badass version. Three, come on, man. We thought you had good taste.
Did you frame the cease and desist letter?
I don't know who had. I think our lawyer had it at the time. Someone's got it. And the funny thing is we played the show in LA and we were staying at someone's house out there. It's like right around the same time, 2011 or something. And someone was like, who lives next door? And I was like, who? And he's like, Glenn Danzig. I was like, what? I'm going over. And they're like, he's not there. He's not there. And two, you're not getting past those, those gates or whatever.
That's a great story.
It's all good. I mean, it's wonderful. I'm excited about so we all listen to so many things, and you and I have talked about this as well, and that's the beauty of music, I love, Mastodon. Like I joke around when I put on my metal hat, just a couple of days ago, I was listening to just High on Fire on shuffle, and they're good friends, and they're so amazing, but I also love, like I was mentioned, Tom Waits, and then I also will say that like Warren Ellis, who plays with Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds, and Johnny Greenwood, who plays in Radiohead, some of those guys could probably give any of these metal bands a run for their money playing guitar because they're amazing,
Yeah.
And so, because music is wonderful and it's great to listen to all types. Like I said, Amanda and I were getting crazy to George Michael a few weeks ago, So I've been on this kick lately of certainly Radiohead, and I love Radiohead, and then Flaming Lips, Cloud Chase Metallic. And then the other one that had Race for the Prize on it, Soft Bullets. Both beautiful albums. I don't know if you've ever listened to those albums, but you should. And I know the boys are fans of Flaming Lips. They covered Keith Boone Weighs a Ton,
Yeah.
And they're such a cool, weird band. And like my niece, my youngest niece, was like, Uncle Tom, you're a musician. What should I be listening to? And I've like made a list for her, and I sent her some Flaming Lips stuff. And she's like, texts me. She goes, "Oh my gosh, it's so cool. These songs sound like my dreams." And I'm like, what? I'm like uncle of the year right here. You know what I mean? And so but the cool thing is, like we were talking about earlier, you can't help but be influenced. Like when you're attracted to the friends you hang out with, you can't help but be influenced by them or whatever. So I've been working on these songs that I've been in my brain for a minute that I'm going to give to Brent Hinds and the West End dudes and stuff. And I'm like playing them for like Ben, and Ben's like, "Oh, it sounds like you've been listening to Radiohead and Flaming Lips." I go, "Yeah." Yeah, but also we're big fans of that. Like, we want the stuff to be a little bit weird, and and have fun with it, and hopefully like you and whoever it is, like grow with it and be cool to go with it, like and have fun with it.
Well, yeah, you've expanded my musical taste. I didn't know how, and I think I shared this a long time ago with you, but I didn't know I was such a fan of horns until.
Yeah, right. I think one of the first notes you sent me was like, "I'm not a horn guy," and I was like, "Yeah, but when it works in the right place, it's so cool."
That's it. That's exactly what happened. It worked in the right place for me to be like, wait a minute. All right,
I love
yes,
it, dude. I love it, man.
something that's making me feel something that I haven't felt, and that's awesome.
And I'm super excited. So I'm actually, because the way my brain works, like I'm writing stuff down, and my assistant is writing stuff down. When I'm like this, like cause I got like yellow sticky notes everywhere. I want to ask you on your program, so your viewers can hear this. Oh, excuse me a second. I just almost set myself on fire. So I want to ask you to reciprocate and have you back and have you on my show, Burn It Down. I'd love to have you on and talk to you about everything: fatherhood, friendship, trouble, joining the military, being a dad who wants to play music but probably can only have this much time during the week, but wishes he could play more. We'll look at the calendar, and I'd love to have you on.
Oh man, it would be a great honor. Hopefully it'll be interesting, or I can deliver something interesting. I could go into my wife and I were married by Megadeth. That might be an interesting story.
Are you serious? Really? That's awesome.
Yeah, we did there was a fan event at Dave Mustaine's house in 2017, and then
I love it.
the third day was they had it slotted on the itinerary for church, because
Right.
they're all devil worshippers turned Christian.
Yeah, he's a strange guy. I know a good bit about him. Unfortunately, I've never met him, but I love the last record.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
It's so yeah, kick some serious ass.
It's
But,
so good. He's got iced tea on it.
Yeah. And some cool videos too. And
Yeah, totally.
Raphael, who became a good friend, who is actually, I think I can say this, is Vic Rattlehead. So on stage and then also in the videos. But he also lately has been playing a character where he is not wearing the mask in some of these videos. But he's the one who walked Anna down the aisle.
What?
Yeah. in the whole Vic Rattlehead get up.
That's amazing, man. Well, listen, so you guys are destined for greatness and a very long, wonderful, beautiful marriage. That's amazing. I love it, man.
Cool.
I can't wait for you. I can't wait for you to be able to explain this to your child when she's like, tell me more, tell me more. You're like, well, listen to this song. You know that song we were all dancing to at the barbecue the other night when she's like 17, like you remember listening to Rust in Peace? That's the guy that married us.
Yeah, well, and she's named Cambria. I mean, pretty much after Coheed and Cambria, because that's Anna's favorite band, and
those guys are awesome and so nice. Because they're from upstate New York, and I've hung out with them in New York City a few times. They're nicest dudes. Yeah, man. Travis, the guitar player, is like talking to him, slice of heaven. Best dude.
Yeah, they seem that way. They seem kind of like Mastodon, just like down to earth. There's no ego there. Just regular guys.
No, just good humans. It's their job. And then they do it well, which is what never do anything half-assed. Yeah. And then when you get off, you go take care of your kid, you walk the dog, maybe you have a couple of beers, and you hang out and have a good time with your friend.
Yeah. Well, hey, we can't end until I give you the one more compliment.
Yeah, we could do whatever you need, man. I'm good. We started early because we just jumped right in and felt great. And look at me, the nerd that I am on what is it? What day is today? Thursday, drinking my clear Guinness. I'm such a nerd. Sorry.
I am actually. I don't normally do this, but I did feel like a tequila, so I have some.
I'm gonna have one after this. Last night we went out to we actually played some music and went by a friend's house, and she made these coconut rum drinks that were so good that I'm still feeling it. It was really amazing. So feeling good. Good summer drink. Tequila's wonderful.
Yeah. So you must, anytime if you get depressed, Tom, I want you to look in the mirror and say, I have the best hair out of anybody I know.
Oh my gosh, you're the best. Thank you so much, man. I appreciate it. I do get depressed, and I will do that. I mean, I'll also say, I'll think of like you telling me that, Jesse, because that's the best. I'll think of my friends, and you'll be added to that list, because we are fortunate sons. We are pretty lucky, and I know sometimes when you're in a dark place, we forget that, but we need to remind ourselves that because this is all part of it. Actually, this is another really great thing that my dad didn't tell me. I don't know who told me this, but I do know who told me this. This guy named John told me this. And he said, he goes, life immediately got easy for me the day after someone said, yo, life ain't fair. And I was like, wow, that's amazing. It's like, so I kind of expected not to be fair or whatever. And so when I have good things like this, like people do reach out, on, different social platforms, Facebook and Instagram and stuff. And then, well, like how you and I have met, and people have like said the nicest things, like, oh my goodness, my wife and I split up, and that song "Forgiveness" saved my life. My grandfather died, and his favorite song was "She's on Fire," and I've listened to it every day in my car in the morning for 3 weeks straight. And I'm like, FML, baby, we're doing pretty good.
Yeah, no, I bet that's awesome. Oh gosh, why I'm having a hard time. And Amanda's, when we talked, I was having the hardest time with names of people that I know very well. And now I forget it too. The one I'm trying to, there's another guy, Mastodon Mayhem, who's a huge fan of yours. I know because we're friends on Facebook. And
is it Rick Hammerman, the guy I met, or no?
No, gosh, it is someone else.
DJ O'Neill.
He's got his profile picture is Rasputin with a
yes, Michael Costello. Michael Costello. Yes, so I've never met him either, and I had just gotten here from New York, like middle of the pandemic. No, actually, beginning of the pandemic, and it was rough times and stuff. And he reached out a few times, and I believe at the time, shout out Michael. I believe at the time he was like a cook at like an old age home. And I just responded back. I was like, dude, you're on the front of the lines, man. You're up there with the cops and the mailmen and the nurses. Thank you for doing what you're doing because you're risking your life every day. And he was like, thank you for talking to me. So I sent him some things, like a couple of drawings and some poems and stuff. And he's a very nice guy. Well, I've never met him, but we've chatted and met online, and he's a super nice guy. And well, that's the other thing. And I talked to Amanda about this. It's like, not that I'm in many like fan pages. As a matter of fact, a lot of fan pages that I was in at one time, I kind of didn't like because I don't know, something about one, I didn't like it. So there was some negativity and stuff, and then two, it was like they also talked about the artists, whoever the fan page was, as like that they weren't like on this earth, and it's like, no, they've, so I told him, man, I go, this is the best fan page or group I've ever seen or witnessed or been a part of, because one, I know Bill's in it, and Bill's the best, and it's like they sometimes they respond, and also people know that they're not, like David Bowie, a huge fan, amazing. I feel blessed that I think he was like an alien, that he was on loan to us, while we were alive, and he's amazing. But like, I really, and I know David Bowie was a dude too, because I know people that know him, and they said he walked the dog and went and had a pint of beer,
Yeah.
But the thing is like, these things about these guys, and then also the people in the group, yourself and like Amanda and Mike Costello and again, JJ O'Neill was really good friends with Darren Sanders, and it's like, and Darren's in the group, so he keeps things cool. So that even if someone came in with negativity, that cut it out.
Yeah.
And I can't say Keithan. Are you kidding me? Keithan is the best.
Yeah.
And I got to meet Keithan. He came in from Ireland, and I gave him a tour in New York. And I was like, this where the Ramones. Man, I am messing up my whole office. This is where Ramones played their first show. This is where I hung out with the BC Boys here when I was 16 years old. And he was like, this is the best tour. But the thing is it's the best. Everyone in the group is very tasteful and thoughtful, and I think is very conscientious of everyone else's feelings, which is unfortunately not everyone thinks that way. But wouldn't it be awesome if the whole world thought that way?
Well, isn't it? And I said much of the same to Amanda, and how it's very unique, that group, because
it really is. Yeah,
and that's credit to the admins. but also
It's
credit
it
to
has so much to do. It has so much to do with them. It has so much to do with them, and then the relationship that like she's bonded with the band. Like she talks to the band, and that goes a long way because there are other bands that are so awesome that you know we're fans of, we like and stuff, and that have toured with the dude stuff. And I'll go and look at their page, and it's like, you know, 1,500 people, and it's the magic's not there.
yeah. No, it's a huge credit. Oh, I did want to mention, I saw you have a couple pictures with is it the manager of the Clash?
Oh no, that's Mick Jones, who is the guitarist of the Clash. Yeah, so yes, that is a really amazing story. And it just popped up. Hang on one second. So I got a chance to meet Joe Strummer from the Clash in the late '90s. I was on tour with my band Rent Boys, and talk about meeting a hero. It's like meeting, like, you know, I don't know, Bill Burroughs or Kurt Cobain or Robert De Niro for that matter, you know. And he was so kind and generous with his time and thoughtful, and like listened to our band. He was like, "Oh, keep doing it," and this and that. And then I saw him a few other times. Went out to California and saw him, hung out with him, and then he died like 2002, and it was like this heartbreaking thing because they were such an important band to me and stuff. And I think we immediately did a show like that Christmas, and basically covered Clash songs. And his wife has a foundation called the Joe Strummer Foundation, which Darren Sanders and I still, you know, try to do stuff involved with that stuff. And it's like they raise money to buy kids, like, you know, guitar strings, violin strings, paintbrushes, you know, keep the arts moving and stuff. And then you fast forward like 2010 or 11, I'm in Atlanta, and Mick Jones is playing, and he was the other guitar player in the Clash. He's playing this show at a club in Atlanta, and that being said, also he had gotten kicked out of the Clash, and then so you don't really know where they stood, you know, him and Joe and stuff, you know, and so this guy asked me to play some records at this event that Mick Jones is going to be at, and then later on that night Mick Jones is performing. So I'm playing records, and I'm bringing like my 45s, like old reggae and punk rock and stuff, you know. And he like comes up to me, he's like, "Yo, mate," he goes, "You are killing it." He goes, "I love everything you're playing," you know, whatever. And I'm like, "Get in the DJ booth," you know. So what happened in the DJ booth? I was like, "Yo, let me get 2 pints for drinking and stuff." And I was like, "Listen, I brought my Clash records and Big O Dynamite records. You mind signing?" She's like, "No, no problem." We take some pictures and stuff, and I was like, "Can I ask you, like, I said, I go, yo, I met Joe." And he goes, "Oh, wasn't he the best?" And I was like, "Yeah." I was like, "Awesome." I was like, "Yeah, I met him in 1999. I was so sad he passed away." I was like, "What happened? You know, you guys had a falling out, and you got kicked out, this and that, whatever." And he just said, "But we already know. But sometimes we don't know what we need until we get it, until we hear it." And he's like, "We're like toasting and drinking and stuff." And he's like, "Man, the media, mate. Don't listen to the fucking media, man." He goes, "Everyone tried to blow it up saying we were enemies and this and that, whatever." And he just looks to me, and I just started bawling. He goes, "Not a day goes by, mate, that I don't cry thinking about it." It's like,
oh wow.
my hairs go up, and he goes, "I'll see you at the gig." He goes, "You're on the list. You have tickets. You got VIP stats." And next thing you know, I'm hanging out smoking a joint with him backstage. One of the pictures is me sitting like my hips are next to his face, and literally I'm smoking, and I'm just telling him stories like, my girlfriend, and he's like in the mirror, like putting on makeup. It's amazing. And I was like, so that was 12 years ago, and that's the power and the magic of music. You know, these wonderful things happen. Our friendship, our relationship, and then also it's really wonderful. It doesn't work out all the time like that, but when you meet a hero and they turn out to be really just beautiful humans, it's like it's winning the lottery.
Yeah, that's a great story. That's a great story. I'm glad I asked, and hey, maybe that's a good to end on, man. And I don't want
to. I happen to see that it was like. I follow a lot of English, because I love a lot of English punk rock bands and metal bands as well, you know. But like I follow like a lot of English like magazines and stuff online, and so literally I'm just like I'm working and I'm answering an email on my laptop, and I just see in the corner of my right eye on my laptop, it's like "Happy 68th birthday, Mick Jones." I was like, let me find this picture. Let me play a Mick Jones song. Well, that's the other thing I try to do is spread positivity on like something like Facebook. It's like there's enough negativity, so I'll play a song that made me happy and share a picture that made me happy, and hopefully make other people happy.
Yeah, I think you're doing a great job at that. And one of many reasons I wanted to have this time with you, Tom.
Oh man, thank you for having me. Thank you for having me. We're gonna make some French fries here and put on a movie. Really exciting Thursday night.
Yeah, I'm gonna go put the wee one to bed.
Yeah, man. Much love to you and your family, and yes, we will see each other in person, whether it's in Puerto Rico or in Atlanta or meet by you. And thank you so much for having me.
Hey, I think Puerto Rico sounds even better.
It's gonna be good. It's gonna be good, man. Listen, we could write a song together.
Yeah. Oh gosh. Hey, what do they say? Don't tempt me with a good time.
That's right. Listen, that's the other thing. I mean, and it's not advice, but it's a good positive thing to end on.
Mm-hmm.
Like you asked me, you reached out and you told me you've been wanting to ask me for a while, and I wish you would have, because I would have said yes. And the thing is because of us, the way we're made, our hearts, our brains, we're insecure. We've been beat up. I'm insecure as hell, and it's like you're never going to know unless you ask. And so people should reach out and say, hey, I'm a fan of yours. You want to work on a song together? I know you're busy, but when you can, let's do something.
Yeah, man.
Let's work on a painting. I'll draw the guy's head and his arms. You draw the rest.
I'm really good at drawing feet, Tom.
That's it, man. Big clown shoes.
Dude, that sounds awesome. Well, I'm going to hold you to it.
If I'm alive and kicking and I'm above ground, you got it, man. Thank you so much, Jesse. Appreciate you.
All right. Bless you, Tom. I really appreciate it. Talk to you soon, man.
Take care, man. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye.